Hello! Today I'm going to be reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 18, verses 1 through 15. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the Terebinth of Marin. As Abraham sat in the entrance of his tent, while the day was growing hot. Looking up, he saw 3 men standing nearby. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them. And bowing to the ground, he said, "Sir, if I may ask for you this favor, please do not go on past your servant. Let some water be brought that you may wash your feet, and then rest yourselves under the tree. Now that you have come this close to your servant, let me bring you a little food, that you may refresh yourselves, and afterwards you may go on your way." The men replied, "Very well, do as you have said." Abraham hastened into the tent and told Sarah, "Quick, 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make rolls." He ran to the herd, picked out a tender, choice steer, and gave it to a servant who quickly prepared it. Then Abraham got some curds and milk, as well as the steer that had been prepared, and set these before them. And he waited on them under the tree while they ate. They asked him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" He replied, in the tent." One of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah will then have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent just behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years, and Sarah had stopped having her womanly periods. So Sarah laughed to herself and said, "Now that I am so withered and my husband is so old, I am still to have sexual pleasure?" But the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I really bear a child as old as I am?' Is there anything too marvelous for the Lord to do? At the appointed time, about this time next year, I will return to you, and Sarah will have a son." Because she was afraid, Sarah dissembled, saying, "I didn't laugh." But he replied, "Yes, you did." I get a kick out of this reading because, first off, Abraham, to my knowledge anyway, Abraham was a man of God, and he followed God's will, and he listened to God. He was a very obedient man, and he was also a very prosperous man. So imagine that you being a rich farmer with many stock and servants in your house, or however you want to say it, underneath you. Someone with that stature running out and seeing 3 strangers because they're standing across the way. That kind of blows my mind, because obviously there was something in those 3 gentlemen that Abraham saw that made him run to them. And I find it interesting that there's 3. And me being a Christian and a Catholic, I believe in the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So I kind of wonder maybe if it was those 3. But he ran to them. For me, when I ponder that thought, I wondered, do I look for God in my everyday life? I see it from time to time. I see it a lot. But do I look for it? Not always. It's easy when, I get up and I go out in the morning and I'm driving my car to work, and it's just a beautiful, picturesque. I live out in a rural area, and right now the crops are coming up, so the fields are full of green, and the sun is up a little bit, and it looks absolutely beautiful where I'm at right now. And it's easy to see God in that. When I'm at work and there's somebody frustrated, or and I work in a factory and it's kind of messy and dirty and whatever, you have to look a little harder to find God there. You have to look for it, especially because we're so blind and so distracted, But here, Abraham, he's looking for God. He sees God. And he goes and he waits on him. Why? Because he's thankful to God for everything that he has. God's promised him a son. He still hasn't got it. But, Abraham's a faithful servant of the Lord. He's not going to give up. And so he goes and even though he hasn't received his promise of a child that God gave him, he's still going to serve God and waiting on him hand and foot because he loves God. Do I love God like that? Do I serve God's needs like that? Sometimes, yes, I do. A lot of times, no, I don't. It's a mission that I'm working on. He finds a choice steer and has it slaughtered and prepared. He has his wife baking. In the heat of the day, no less. You imagine, baking rolls in the heat of the day. It's not like they had air conditioning back then. More often than not, I find myself like Sarah. I don't blame Sarah. I don't think she's a foolish woman. She's being realistic in earthly terms. She's old. She stopped having her period. She's past her time of having a child. And here this guy, who I don't know that she saw, is saying that she's going to have a baby. I'm going to be back in a year and your wife's going to have a child. And I have to be honest, I'd probably laugh too. Sometimes we hear of incredible things and we laugh them off. I know I do. And what I've come to find is sometimes those incredible things that I hear, it's coming from God. God's using someone and speaking through them. And so, as I go through my life now, I try not to be so much like Sarah, but I try to be more like Abraham. And not to be, this can't happen, but more rather, this can happen. Because truly, God can do anything. I don't want to go into great detail, but I'm lucky in the fact that I've seen amazing things. I've seen amazing good things and I've seen amazing bad things. And I do believe in the fact that God can do amazing things. But again, it's your free will. It's your choice. God gave you free will. You can choose to let him in or hold him out. So I pray that you choose God's way and that you look for God in your everyday life. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, I'm getting ready to go out into another day, and while there's part of me that wants to do things my way, I just want to throw my hands up in the air and say I give up. And I want to open my heart and I want to let you in and I want to follow your way. Because I know that when I follow your way, I find happiness. When I follow my way, sometimes I get pleasure, but I never really get truly fulfilled. I want everlasting happiness, and only you can provide that. I love you, God. I love you, Jesus. I love you, Holy Spirit. Please use me, use my talents to help other people. Show me how to love, teach me how to love, so that I can spread your love on this earth and make it a better place. Thank you so very much, God. Please forgive me of all my shortcomings. I love you so very much. In Jesus Christ's name I pray, amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Have a great day.